folks. Welcome to Coatbridge Community Board meeting Tuesday, 30th of August. You've seen the post already. Matt has let you know that the meeting has been streamed live and will be available later on in YouTube. What I'll start again with is what I do at every board meeting, is to let you know there's an opportunity for groups, individuals to consider the role of chairperson. And if any group individual is interested in taking on a rotational basis, contact the community partnership team, who will oblige and give you all the assistance you require. Okay, thank you for that. Going to move on sharply. Ross, with any apologies, please?
Chair, we've not actually received any apologies at all. I will double check that after the meeting, because it doesn't look like we've got full attendance, but no one's submitted an apology so far.
Okay, thank you for that. We should have all received a copy of the previous meeting and minutes, and is there any matters arising from them?
Oh, Chair, could I come in with an apology? It's just to advise that Councillor Tracy Carragher is running late, but she will be on. She'll be joining us hopefully in the next 5-10, and possibly Councillor Robinson as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Larson. That's great. If that's all, Mark Rising, could I possibly get somebody to propose and second the minutes? Councillor Larson to propose them, and can I have somebody second them, please? Jane, that's great, lovely, thank you very much. Okay, sorry, going on to item 4, the local improvement plans, or LOIPs as they're now commonly known. As you know, in the Coatbridge here with 3, we've got poverty, mental health and digital inclusion. I think Maureen's on, there was papers circulated in relation to the poverty LOIP. Maureen, you want to add anything to them?
There's nothing to add to it at this time, Willie, but we're happy to take information from any of the organisations in the area, and we'll update the update and embed it in the action note when it goes out.
That's lovely, thank you. Staying on with poverty, we've got VPA from NHS, who's the Health Improvement Senior. I believe she's got an input in relation to the gambling harms training offer.
Chair, it's Ross here. It doesn't look like Viva's on the meeting just now. She's not joined, and she's also meant to be doing the input for tobacco control, so we might need to... Well, I think Maureen's got her hand up. She might have additional information.
I'm actually in the midst of sending you a message, Ross. Can you please send the link to Viva again? For some reason, she's not getting on.
We'll do it now.
Thank you.
Okay, what I'll do then, I'll move on then to, I see, is Douglas available? Douglas Milne for Van El?
Yes, I am, Willie, thank you.
Right, so if we could move on, we could go to the Douglas's update on the digital inclusion. Lloyd, thank you, Douglas.
Thanks, Willie. We're looking now to recruit more members for our digital inclusion subgroup, everyone. So if you'd like to participate, please drop me an email. I will be dropping my contact details into the chat later on in the meeting for another thing I'm updating on. But we will be looking to promote training opportunities and funding opportunities for digital inclusion activities throughout the Coatbridge area in the coming months. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, does anybody have any questions, comments, what it is with Douglas? Okay, as I say, we'll move on, and we'll go back to the inputs from VPRA when she gets online. So it takes up to item 5, my Coatbridge town and community hubs. Now, I'll see for a minute there is no updates involved in that. So it moves us on to local engagement and consultation, and I think Ross is going to give us an update on them.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I suppose just to be clear, there is some work going on around the community hubs, but we'll cover that under the engagement that's going on just now. So I suggest we might reword that for future agendas just to make it clearer.
Okay.
So just to update everyone, we brought to the previous board just a request for people to get in touch around the consultation for the Stevens Hub in Sykeside Green End. We've had a really good response from community organisations and individuals about space and times that they would be looking to use that for. But we want to make sure we get a full picture on the need within the local community. So anyone that's not already responded regarding any potential use they might have for a future community space within a hub building, please let us know as soon as you can. So myself and Maureen will pop our contact details into the chat bar, and if you want to have a chat about it or drop us an email, feel free to get in touch. So that's around the St Stephen's hub, which is going to be built in the Sykeside Green End area. We're about to put out a consultation in the Kirkwood area, on potential projects that have been brought forward by local residents and groups for potential funding and support through the local development programme. The consultation should be ready sort of early next week to go out to the public, and we're not just seeking views on proposals that have already been put forward and people picking their preferences. We're also looking for any new ideas that people might have, specifically around the Kirkwood area, that we could look at supporting through our local development programme. So we will circulate the consultation to the entire board list. I know it's quite area specific, but we'd appreciate if people could share that with any networks and certainly get in touch with us about any ideas they've got for the Kirkwood area. For another community hub, one for St Kevin's Community Hub, which is down in Bargady. Just like to say that Nan from the safety zone in Bargady's graciously agreed to be the local contact for us in the area and distribute the consultation link to as many of the local groups that meet within the safety zone as they can, and any other groups that they have in the local area. Again, if you've got contacts within the Bargady area or groups that we might not be aware of, please feel free to either pass our details on to them or share their information with us, and we'll reach out and get in touch with them, because we're quite keen to build up our community network within Bargady and get as many voices as possible on board during this consultation process. And then just to round up this sort of engagement work across Coatbridge over the past couple of months, in Green End there's been a very productive walkabout and a meeting with local councillors and residents. That's highlighted a number of projects that we're currently working up into proposal stage, and hopefully we'll have them ready to come to the community board at the next round for approval to look at delivering, you know, towards the end of this financial year or into early next year. So I suppose that's, Chair, that's just some highlights of what's been going on. The usual day-to-day engagement and support work with community groups is ongoing as well, that Maureen leads on the ground, and the offers there is always that any community groups are looking for our support around projects are doing, capacity building, funding and things, absolutely get in touch with us, and we're always more than happy to have a chat with you.
That's great, Ross. Thank you very much. Anybody have any questions, anything you want to ask of Ross? This is going to be very quick tonight, isn't it? Okay, moving on quickly then, it's the Community Concordia update, and I'm going to open the floor again to Douglas Mill for Valnell. I believe there is a paper been circulated which you have in front of you. If Douglas wants to comment on that.
Thanks, Chair. I'd just like to bring an event that we're hosting to everyone's attention on Monday the 19th September at Coatbridge Community Centre between 12 and 3 p.m. It is aimed at just getting people's views on the Concordia, and I'm just going to pop a link in the chat where you can sign up for this just now. That'll be an in-person event. We've had a really good response already. My colleague Ian Johnson will be happy to meet with anyone who cannot make this event on the day in person or online to discuss this further. We're also organising a series of thematic events, and again, I'll just post this link in the chat just now. Again, these are North Lanarkshire wide, and you can sign up for any of these that may well be of interest to you. Thank you, Chair.
Again, does anybody have any councillors see your hands up? Yep.
Yeah, sorry, I got distracted there for a wee minute. See the event, that's the 3-hour event for the Concordia. Can you just tell us a wee bit about the purpose of the event?
Certainly, Councillor. The event is we're aiming to bring together people who are concerned about the challenges being faced by their families and communities across North Lanarkshire just now. And we're looking to get people's ideas as to what could be done to improve people's lives and strengthen our communities through local democracy. There's more information also.
Would you mind just giving me the I clicked on the link, it didn't work. I don't know if it's because I'm on a council laptop, but I'm just looking for the date and the time.
Oh, certainly. Okay. It's Monday 19th September between 12 and 3 p.m.
Thank you.
Thanks, Douglas. Any other? I don't see anything. Matt, do we know if you've got on yet? No, I don't see her.
I don't see her yet. Chair, no.
Okay. Okay, now I'll move on to the community matters input from local community groups. On the agenda item, I've got an issue. First point raises Shawhead residence issue.
Hi, Willie. Can you hear me? Aye.
Anne Cully, is that yourself, Anne?
Yeah, that's me.
Yes, I can hear you. Floor's all
Right.
yours.
The people of Shawhead have been coming to me over the last few weeks about a new build that's supposed to happen in Hagmill Road. They started up a petition against it, and we were told that would be classed as one objection. I know Councillor Carricker has sent me a whole list of why it's one objection, but we've got a lot of people up here who don't have computers, they're elderly, and they're actually infuriated that the council at no point has notified us about any of this new build. Notified the factories, they didn't notify us. We now have, because of the issues with the road coming into Hagmill Road, that's going to be a major issue now, building another 2 units there, along with parking spaces. It's bad enough just now, there's already been 2 fatalities. We don't want any more. The road's badly marked, people don't know where they're. I was nearly in a crash the other day and I'm a passenger, and it's because a lady that didn't know the area came down. But I'm not wanting to talk about the road's the last thing I'm concerned about now. I'm more concerned about the people not getting their say at opening this new build, and more so that not only are they not getting their say about it, they knew nothing about it being sold. It was sold, as far as I'm concerned, underhanded. Nobody knew this, and when talking to the councillors kind of got a shock that this was sold as well. So why was it allowed? Why is Shawhead actually getting everything stripped out it? This is the only green belt that's left in Shawhead. It's the only place that kids can actually play in Shawhead. You've taken out the park that was down at the flats, obviously your redevelopment and all that. The park that they used to play on for riding their bikes and that's park at the side. You took that away a few years ago. Now you're building houses on it. Where are the kids supposed to go? Where are the dog walkers supposed to go? We need answers. The people up here want an emergency meeting and want it tomorrow, basically. Anybody want to give me some kind of answers and why this is happening and why all this is happening in Shawhead? I mean, we've got nothing up here.
Matt, is Gisela Ross want to come back in and give maybe some comments based on Anne's input here?
Chair, we were made aware of some of this. We passed this on to the relevant service within the council, and the input in relation to is this in relation to the new factory units that are being developed and that you're talking about?
Yes, but none of us knew about it and we should have been told.
Right, as I say, we can certainly pass that back to the service and deal with that. We did raise this when the issue came into us last week, and we were told that there was no concerns raised from roads in relation to the proposal that was taken forward for that. But we'll certainly take a note of all the concerns you're raising here tonight and ensure that's fed back, and we'll make sure that a further response goes back to the board chair to ensure that these points are picked up appropriately.
So where does that leave Shawhead just now? We're in limbo whether this is going to get built, not going to get built. We're told if we put a petition in, it's classed as one objection. Now that's, as far as I'm concerned, wrong. I've got so far just under 200 people that have signed that to complain about this. I understand what Tracy sent me and I've read it. I don't agree with it. And I can do points of why I don't agree with it. I think it's about time. People up here don't know that they've got to, especially the elderly, they've got to pick out specific points and they've got to make specific points. All they're interested in, we don't want these factory units. So where does that leave our petition, and where does it leave the elderly and vulnerable up here that don't have access to computers and don't actually know how to write a letter of protest?
Right. Well, as I say, we'll pick up the points that you've raised, Anne. Absolutely, they're valid issues that you're raising on behalf of your local community. We'll feed them back into the planning team. This was already raised with them. The information that we've received back that there was no further action they could take at this particular time. But we'll feed back the issues that you're raising here tonight. If you've got anything to add to that, Anne, please do so, and send it in to us, and we'll make sure that that's addressed and that somebody from the planning team comes back to you directly to give you some feedback on that.
Right, I'll accept that, but I've got to answer the people up here tonight, if not tomorrow. Thanks for getting back to me.
Okay, Anne, thank you very much. Anybody else want to come in on the Shawhead issue who's aware of it?
Yeah, myself, Nicola McParland. I'm the Secretary of the Neighbourhood Watch in Shawhead. Just to follow on from Anne's comments, I know you've mentioned you're going to take these comments back. Does anyone have an answer? Would anyone be able to give us a response on this call about the petition? If we were able to draw up a templated letter and say we put down a list of reasons and allowed people to tick the list of reasons and went round the doors, would that be sufficient? Would they all count as one petition each?
Well, can I come in?
Sorry,
It's
who's?
Tracy. It's
Sorry,
Tracy.
Tracy. Yeah, and you come, Councillor.
So I've obviously had a number of inquiries about that. This particular one, there's 2 officers are here in attendance tonight, not about this planning issue, about the new build that's currently happening in Shawhead and also about the demolition site. But on this specific one about Hagmill Road, I had made inquiries last week when it was first brought to our attention because diggers were saw on the land. We contacted planning. They looked at it again and they realised that I'll read this out if you don't mind, right? Regards to both the current application, which is for construction of 2 units, and the previous planning application, construction of 3 units, neighbour notification was undertaken in relation to government guidance. This means any property within 20 metres is notified, and given the boundaries of both application sites in relation to the housing to the north, this meant that no residential property was notified. With regards to the current application, it was noted that there was an area of non-council owned land with no buildings on it to send a notification letter to, which meant a press advert was required, and that's been rectified and that's been sent out, and the public consultation has now been extended until the 13th of September to allow members of the public to put in comments or objections to it. The land has actually been designated for industrial business use. It was on the local development plan. This is information I've got in the email that I've got here. This was on the local development plan in 2012 that was approved, and for the latest one that was approved. The officers looked into it and they've shown me that the land was sold in 2020. And then these applications have came in, and obviously they've opened it back up. They've extended the public consultation period time. In relation to a petition, it is correct that a petition, whilst it'll be noted that people have signed it, it only amounts to 1 actual objection. There can be a letter if residents wanted to do that, like get a letter and then get people if they agreed to those objections that were on it, to sign that and to send it in, and that can be posted in. It doesn't need to be done all online. People can post that in. I've given that information out to some people that have contacted me today in relation to that, since I've got this email. In relation to the roads, the planning application remains under consideration, and they're looking for further information from the applicant to enable the road service to finalise their comments on the development. So there's going to be more information coming in for roads. Because of the amount of objections that have been received already on the application, this will go to planning committee. So anybody that has put in an objection already There's been enough to mean that this is going to the planning committee on this. That's everything I know on this actual planning application. I'm not on the planning committee. I don't know when it's going to be going to the planning committee. But obviously, Matt, if you want to take forward like Anne's concerns about residents who are maybe elderly, don't have access. I know it is going into the advertiser. Whether there's sufficient time has given, by the time that it's been put into the advertiser for them to then put in their comments or objections. I don't know, but it was highlighted with elected members, and that's why the public consultation has been extended on this one. That's that on this one. I know that there is other concerns in Shawhead, the fact that there's the potential for that to happen. Right now, there's also the new build, and there's also the demolition that's going on. So there's increased traffic within the streets of Shawhead right now. I'm receiving complaints about all three of those issues. That's why I'd asked for it to be put on the community board tonight, and it's why there's officers here from the demolition team and from the new build team to take back people's comments on it. That's probably all I've got to say right now about it, Willie, but I'm happy to come back in as well if anybody needs me to make further comment on it.
Willie, can I come back?
Yeah, and you come on.
The problem is with all you saying and that it's been developed or it's been looked at to be developed, there is no green area in Shawhead. People need to take that into consideration. There's nowhere for people to walk their dogs. There's nowhere for kids to go and play. I mean, that's supposed to be a park. It was made a park way before North Lanarkshire. It was made a park, I think it was still under Monklands District. So yous are taking away everything in Shawhead. Aren't you supposed to put a light for light? If you're taking it away, give us somewhere else. But there is nowhere else in Shawhead. Please don't take that away from us. There's too many people rely on that. I say, as the council let it overgrown, then say, oh, it's not getting used. It is getting used.
Can I come in as well on that? Come back in, responding to Tracy and Anne. Is there anyone who in the planning committee do we need to petition? If this is going to the planning committee, is there a list of names that we can potentially petition to raise their objections with?
And where do we send it all to?
So it is online, and it's also, there's an address. I can send the address out to both of you. It's not about petitioning anybody that's on the planning committee. There's currently a public consultation time, and members of the public can provide their comments or their objections.
Yeah, we'll still do that.
Yeah, and I'll send
do that, but we'd still like to petition people directly.
Can I just say, I thought it was supposed to be 21 days. I mean, when the advertiser comes out tomorrow, that's only leaving people 13 days. I thought it had to be 21 days. Or am I just totally wrong on that?
I honestly don't know. I'm not on the planning committee, and there's not an officer from
I'm talking about objections going in at all. I've been stymied that it's 21 days. Anything else I've ever done, I've given 21 days.
Matt, can you feed that back Anne's comments on that? Response?
Councillor Carricker, we'll include all these issues that have been raised.
Okay.
And this will all be sent to planning team tomorrow morning. On that, Tony Malikin's on the call. I see Tony's got his hand up. I don't know if Tony can shed any light on this, Chair, or it's another part. This is Tony's from the team in housing at the moment, Chair. So maybe you might be able to add some.
Tony, you want to come in?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I was actually wanting to ask a question. Sorry, I'm not a planner, so I'm not able to answer that for Anne. But Anne referred to a park. Can I just check which bit you were saying is the park, Anne, so that it's just so it's clear for feeding back to planning for you? Was it the bit at Hagmill Road that you were referring to there?
Yes, it's the bit at Hagmill Road. The bit behind that is where all the dog walkers use it as well.
Right, thanks. It was just so I had it clear, because I'll be in the office tomorrow and I sit near people. So as well as it getting referred to people officially, I'll just bring it up as well. So I just wanted to be clear there. Thanks.
Thank you.
Can I raise another point, please?
Yourself, Nicola, yeah?
Yeah, Nicola McParland.
Yeah, you come.
Sorry, this is the first meeting I've attended, so excuse if I'm talking over people or not going through the right channels. So I've said about who do we need to raise the petition with the planning committee. Yeah, that was the question. Lost my train of thought there. So the fact that this is going to the planning committee, can anyone advise if it's going to be a futile effort on our behalf if we go round the neighbourhood and gather, say, 200-300 letters? The fact that it's already going to the planning committee for consideration, does that hold enough weight, or would we be encouraged to get as many objections into this as possible?
Matt, you want to come back in on that?
Just briefly, Chair, in terms of petition, if you're talking about petitions, rather than speaking the specifics, I certainly couldn't comment on the validity or the futility of any process, Nicola. I wouldn't comment on that. But what I would say in terms of a petition coming in, there is a new process for dealing with petitions, and that would any petition that comes in, a report would be prepared and it would be taken to a petition subcommittee. And that's something that would happen for any petition that comes into the council, is considered by the council and then taken forward to a petition subcommittee. So that would be the process for that if that was received within the council.
Okay, and the same for the letters. If we just get a standard template letter and we get people to sign it and get them sent in, that's sufficient as well. Even though it's going to the planning committee, but it'll still add more weight potentially if we get 200 objections as opposed to, say, the last time I checked online there was only 10 objections online. I guess, does it hold more weight if we've got more letters?
Again, that's a matter for the people, the members who sit on the planning committee to determine the outcome from that. We couldn't really comment on that.
Okay, I just thought maybe from your experience. Okay, thanks very much for your
Could I just
response.
come in? I don't sit on the planning committee, but I've asked some questions because I've been receiving inquiries in relation to this. Anybody can put in a comment or an objection on any planning matter. It will be considered if it's a material planning consideration, and there's criteria for that is on the council's website. So in other words, like saying that you object isn't a material planning consideration, because it would need to be something like
pollution, traffic, safety.
Yeah, so there's a list of it, and I'll try and see if I can find a link and put it in the chat bar just now so that you can see. Any objections or planning or comments on this particular one have to be put in by the 13th of September for it to be considered in relation to this actual application. I don't know when it's going to the planning committee. I just know that it is. The petitions committee that Matt's talking about probably wouldn't meet in time, I would assume, to have any influence on that. So the best way is to have the comments or objections put in through the proper process. I'll put the address in the chat bar as well that people can send in letters to if they're so minded to do that. Officers, it's my understanding that officers collate all this, and then officers will make the recommendation to the planning committee, and then that will be considered by the councillors that sit on that committee, and a decision will be made.
Thanks, Tracy. Sorry, councillor.
No, it's Tracy.
Thanks, councillor, for your input in that, and yourself, Matt. I see, I think this is quite a volatile decision. I think there's quite members of the Sawhead community are not happy in their bit. So any assistance and advice given to you over the coming days and weeks, because they don't have that much time, would be greatly appreciated, and hopefully we can move this forward to everybody's benefit. Okay, thanks very much for that. Moving on, Cliftonville and Coatbridge community group event. I think this is one.
Sorry,
I see Matt's hand up.
Can I just say, yeah, we actually do have officers on about the demolition
yeah,
site
I was going to
that's
say
happening
Councillor Carricker as well. Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah, and also the new build site.
Yeah, I had a few comments I wanted to make about that as well. And Tracy, I'm sure you've got comments that people have been raising to you directly. Things like there's rollers going through the estate, you know, those require banksmen, and they're just like travelling through. They're not, shouldn't be on public highway roads. People have suggested or proposed, would it be possible for the demolition for them to install a haul road down at Hagmill Road through the industrial units to prevent them having all the lorries, etc., having to come through the scheme. So it's just, you know, you're coming off that B road and you're going round through the industrial estate and you're not going through the schemes, you know, which in turn is a more safer option because there's pretty big lorries travelling around their schemes, you know, and for safety of our residents. We think that would be an idea. Has that been considered at all?
See, James Stevenson's got his hand up. James, you want to come in? Apologies for missing you there.
That's fine. Thank you, Chair. As Councillor Carragher mentioned, I'm actually an officer here. I'm the Project Delivery Manager for Housing, Property and Projects. So it's my team that's kind of leading on the demolition. It's a very valid point in question that you raise about the access to Hagmill Road and whether we've gave consideration to a new road through the industrial estate. The answer to that is yes. I think we've been in discussions with the contractor, and I think it would actually suit the demolition contractor for when they're taking away waste material and recycling material to avoid the residential area. So we're looking at options at the moment to take a new path through to the site to alleviate some of those issues that you described.
Thank you. Will we get feedback on that? What channel will we get the feedback on? Is it at this forum or is it?
Yeah, I suppose we're in negotiations at the moment, so I'm happy to bring a further update back to the group if required, or I can channel it through, you know, the elected members, of course, if we get an answer sooner. Just to give you a wee update while I'm on, actually, so you'll know that we've got the contractor on site. At the moment, they're actually stripping out the buildings, so we've got 11 buildings there. The duration of the demolition is going to take a wee while. We're probably looking at sort of summer next year before they're fully demolished and removed altogether. So they'll go through various phases of the demolition process. So that's the sort of timeline that we're looking at just now. We do realise there's a lot of activity in the area, and we're working closely with our colleagues in New Build to try and alleviate any sort of pinch points in the surrounding areas traffic-wise. So if there is any other questions regarding the demolition, I'm happy to take them.
So if any other issues arise throughout the duration of the project, then it's obviously going on to next year, who's the best person to contact? Do we put it through our local councillors, or can, you know, our community groups like the Neighbourhood Watch and the Tenants and Residents Association, is there a local point of contact that we could, you know, get in touch with directly?
I'd probably need to seek advice on the correct protocol for that. It would probably be myself that, you know, provides a response, and I'm happy to do so at this forum if required. If anything's needed in the interim, I guess you could speak to your local elected member or councillors, and they would channel it through to myself.
And is there can be provided with a phone number or a helpline if there's anything urgent that arises? Unsafe practices, things like that, you know, the steamrollers going through the rollers, sorry, going through the scheme, things like that.
Absolutely. So we, in terms of the site itself, that there will be a board which has got an emergency number on it. So by all means, if you see any dubious practices, which I hope we don't, we'll have health and safety officers visiting the site frequently. We also have a 24-hour security guard on site as well, because sometimes these types of projects, demolition projects, you see a lot of vandalism. So there should always be a site presence, and there will be an emergency number on the fence or the site compound, and we'll make sure that, you know, somebody's there to answer any calls if it's of an emergency nature.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, James, thanks for that.
Thank you.
Okay, folks, I'll say we'll keep. Sorry, I've got Tony want to come back in.
Sorry, I was struggling to find the mute button there, Willie. Yeah, it was just to I've got my colleague Helen on with me as well that will be able to give any details, more detailed information on Berwick Street. But I want to give, for the benefit of people on the call, that we'll talk with James as well. Our teams cooperate with one another very closely on the demolition and new builds. So if there's a route of being able to have a haul road going in for the trucks that they do with the demolition there, that when eventually there's a new build going in the Shawhead area, then we would look to do the same for the very same reasons that have just been expressed by, I think it was Nicola, sorry, that raised that. But the other bit is what we do, because of the nature of how we're doing our sites for Berwick Street, for example. Anyone that's been involved in that are residents nearby, we do carry out the pre-planning consultation where we went through things. We had some issues at the start with this, that the contractor hadn't got information out to residents in time, and we've done everything to address that now. We have the site agent, who's a very helpful person looking to cooperate with neighbours. And again, we have contact numbers that are there, the contact number of the project manager from the council side, and the contact number for the site agent as well, which is standard practice for us. So anything else that's happening within your area, when it's happening, we'll follow the same protocols. It's just to give you some comfort on that. It doesn't stop some things happening, but it means we can address it quickly. And I just want to re-emphasise, and I think you have to take it on good faith from us, that we are doing everything in good faith, and we will rectify anything, because the last thing we want to do is be disrupting people any more than is absolutely necessary. So on top of Berwick Street, again, I can send some of the information via Matt and his team to in a sort of email format that can be distributed. But for Coatbridge, for example, as well as Berwick Street, we've got the former Columba High site as well is going to get developed. So that's 132 homes there. We've got a bit of Bank Street, which used to be the Shark's Mouth. That'll be 9 homes getting done there. We've got Kildona Street, which is the old municipal buildings. Again, that's going to get redeveloped. Shawhead that I mentioned to, at the moment, we're projecting around about 111 homes for the area. And we've obviously got things to look at on the Dunbeth flats as well. It's getting held off just now while we're dealing with the Ukrainian refugees that are getting looked after. So we're happy to take any questions. If it's anything specific on Berwick Street, I might have to defer to Helen on it for an answer, but I just wanted to open up that we are open to any questions. Thanks.
Thanks for the update, Tony. That was great. Councillor Larson, see if you get your hand up. You're on mute.
Sorry, I took my hand down instead of unmuting myself. 2 things on the high-rise flats over at Dunbeth as a solution for the Ukrainian refugees. I just wanted to stay on record at the community board meeting. I think it's an excellent solution that the council has found to this particular I'm going to say problem. I don't want to say problem. My words are gone, but it's not taken away from our housing stock at all. I know there's been a lot of kind of talk about it in social media and what have you. It's not detracting in any way from our housing stock. So these people are not taking away homes that might otherwise have went to somebody else. And in a sense, all it's doing is delaying what is a long-term housing solution. So wanted to say that, but I also wanted to ask about the municipal buildings. The municipal buildings, as you'll know, was bequeathed to the people of Coatbridge for the purpose of the common goods, and it had been identified a wee while ago that that common good did not meet the criteria for housing. And my last understanding of the situation was that council were taking the matter to court proceedings to have the purpose of the common good overturned to allow for housing. Is there any update on whether that has actually happened?
Yeah, Councillor Larson, it has happened. The court decided in favour that it could be used as long as it was for council housing, and there will be elements of it that will be part of the hub for Coatbridge as well. So it was deemed as being I can't remember the exact phrase, and if you want that, I can get the information for you. But it was deemed as being for like common good use. The fact that it was social housing, council housing, and that it'd be sort of office space that would be again for the council use for the community, if that makes sense.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Robinson.
Thanks, Chair. Tony, just another question just about the Columba High site. I know it's not quite my ward, but Councillor Carricker will, I'm sure, understand that it's right on the border with my ward. But can you just confirm the timescales for the Columba High site and how many units we're looking at again for that site, please?
Yeah, I'll have to feed back on the exact timescales, Councillor Robinson. But we're at the process of working out the actual procurement approach that we'll do, like which framework we'll use and how we go out to procure the contractors for the site. So I think very broadly speaking, we'll be talking within a year to a year and a half, very broadly. But I can get exact dates to feed back. The number of homes that we're looking at just now is 132 homes, and that's been agreed with the local area office that we've looked at what the housing need is in the area to get the housing mix worked up. Now we might get, as we go on site, that might change slightly, as it often does, that despite having site investigations, etc., sometimes there's wee bits of ground that you can't really put as many homes on it as you thought, or sometimes you can actually get an extra one or two. So at the moment it's 132 homes, and I'll get the exact dates for you. Is that okay for you? Sorry.
Okay, folks, thank you very much for that. That was interesting, and I'm sure the two residents from Shawhead have took on board the community board's involvement in supporting communities and give them a kind of platform for advice and information, and they can take their concerns forward and hopefully get the right answers at the end of it. Moving on, as I said earlier, Cliftonville and Coatbridge community have a group event, and I think it's Lynn Smith. Lynn would like to come in and maybe say a few things.
Hi everyone. Yeah, I was just basically to let everybody know about the health and wellness event we're actually throwing from our facility. So Cliftonville and Coatbridge Community Group, which is probably more commonly known as the Coatbridge Indoor Bowling Club, and we are hosting a 3-day kind of health and wellness event in September. It'll run for a couple of hours each afternoon. Sort of running from the Monday the 19th of September to Thursday the 22nd of September. What we're doing there is just basically offering members of the community, other organisations, maybe anybody you work with, clients, whatever, the kind of opportunity to come to our facility and sort of enjoy some sort of free things that we're putting on around health and wellness. So we'll have some taster massages, some Reiki, I hope I'm saying that right, and some chair-based exercises, aerobics, yoga, Tai Chi. We'll also have some information on like a crafting class we're doing. We have the Mobility Hub coming along as well to sort of speak about their services and things. So if anybody is interested in kind of like coming along as well from an organisation point of view, what I'll do is I'll pop my email address in the chat bar and you can drop me an email. So yeah, as I said, from the 19th to the 22nd, it'll sort of run from 12 till 2. Yeah, and just a kind of opportunity for everyone to come and try out some things for free. And the idea is we've got these classes that will kind of run through autumn, winter, that hopefully we can do for free or for a few pounds for the community to take advantage of. So yeah, that's that. If anybody's got any questions, just let me know. But I'll pop my email address in the chat bar, and you can, if you're interested in more information, just drop me an email with your details and I can let you know a bit nearer the time. We'll do a proper agenda, what classes and stuff are running at what times throughout the days.
That's great, Lynn. Thank you very much for that.
No problem.
Thank you. Standard agenda items. Ross may be helping this one. I've got community coordinator update, but I've got nothing against it. Can you give me an input update on that?
Yeah, that's the new title that Janie's now holding, so I'm hoping that she'll have her update with her.
Hi, thanks for that, Ross. Yes, that is our new title. It was Community Champion previously, and now it's Community Coordinator. So I've not actually got my update to hand, Ross. I don't know if you've got it there. Sorry.
If you give me 1 second, I'll see if anybody sent it to us. So Jerry, yeah, I've just opened up, so I've got a copy of it in Teams, but I'm not sure if I can share that, or if you're wanting me to run through it. Will I just quickly email that to you?
Yeah, if you could, that'd be great. I've just jumped straight in from another meeting, so it would just to get that would be really helpful. Thanks for that, Ross.
No problem. I'll send it right now.
Appreciate it. Sorry, folks. Be as quick as possible.
And just as I'm doing that, Lynn, that was really interesting what you were saying about your sort of community event. If you want to send that information to us, we can certainly share it around the community board mailing list and our contacts, if that would help publicise what you're doing.
Yeah, no, definitely. I will send you the information. The flyer, I think, was actually attached to the agenda that went out, but it's since been updated, so I'll send you an updated one. But thanks for that.
Okay.
So I've just tried to send that, Jane, but it's saying that you don't have access to the links that I have on Teams. It's like technology thing, so I'll just need to download it. It'll take me 1 second, and then
We'll give it a wee minute, see if you can get it through, Ross.
Yeah, just...
At this point, usually say talk amongst yourselves.
No, unless you want to move on, Chair, and come back in a wee minute. Is that okay?
Yeah, I could do that. Yeah, I could move on
that'd
to...
be great. Thanks.
Next on the agenda is the local development programme. I've got an update from Matt Costello.
Thanks, Chair. Again, the report was issued with the papers in relation to the local development programme, and it just updates the community board on the progress of projects that have currently been undertaken through the community partnership team, and highlights the process in relation to project proposal forums. So it's just to make the board aware of that as to where we are. Ross touched on some of this earlier on in relation to projects and the local development programme. And again, just to let local communities know that we're keen to work with local groups going forward in relation to the local development programme in the future. That's all, Chair.
Okay, thanks, Matt.
That's me now, Chair. Sorry, but I see Councillor Larson's got
Councillor Larson's got her hand up for it.
Oh, thanks, Janie. It was just to ask Matt, you made me think of something I asked at our group earlier. I don't know if you'll be able to answer it here, but I'm going to ask anyway. During the pandemic, Council secured significant funding for investment in play parks. It was to see if, I'd heard that it came through LOIPs, but I don't know if that's true. It was to see if you knew anything about how that money has progressed to play parks, or how I might find out.
Absolutely. That funding, I think for this year is 300 and, Ross, you might be able to correct me, £324,000, and that has been allocated to play areas within the North Lanarkshire area. I don't have the details to hand as to exactly where we're investing the funding this financial year, Ross. I don't know if you've got that information to hand just now.
Yeah, I can probably tell you just off the top of my head. So this financial year's money, Councillor Larson, is split between a play area in Kilsyth at Livingston Park, a play area in Kirkwood, Scarhill Street, you might know as Parents Action for Safe Play, and a play area in Motherwell on the Loring, which is one of the main roads through Motherwell. The intention is that we're going through an upgrade list that we have, and we're trying to look at priorities across each community board area and spread the money for that over the next sort of 3 to 4 year spend period. So the money's coming into the council, but it's then going to our team to deliver on that. So we're managing the project development side of that.
A further question, if you don't mind, whilst I've got you, how are you determining whereabouts to spend that money, and has there been any decision made to have inclusive disabled access equipment within said parks?
Okay, so part of it is we have an ongoing asset management programme, which, as well as people within mine and Matt's teams, we also work with colleagues in environmental assets, look at the conditions of play areas, where they are in their life cycle, and the determination was that Many sites that have been constructed or developed within the last 5 years aren't suitable for consideration. They're still too new. Everything over that, we're looking at what point are they in their life cycle. So it's then about prioritising sites by age and condition, and also their location, so that there's actually an equitable spread of the money across communities across North Lanarkshire. So last year there was money went into Bells Hill, I believe Shotts, and it was somewhere up north, potentially Cumbernauld. This year we're doing Coatbridge, we're doing Coatbridge, we're doing Motherwell. Next year we'll be looking at other areas that have got sites that need development.
And in terms of disabled access?
Yeah, well, all of our sites, we always design them to be both inclusive and accessible. And people use those words interchangeably, but they've got different meanings when we're looking at play area design. Accessibility, we look at a range of different surfaces that allow people to freely access sites. That can include standing footpaths, a mixture of safety surfacing such as wet pour rubber, grass matting, sometimes loose fill materials, so that there's different sensory experiences for children as well. Disabled access, we look for equipment that is inclusive. That means as many children as possible can play together on an item of equipment. I'll probably just point out, that doesn't mean then that we look at putting in wheelchair swings to be inclusive, because they're actually the opposite. They don't offer an inclusive play experience. So we look at things such as wheelchair accessible roundabouts, wheelchair accessible trampolines, seesaws perhaps with reclining seats, or swing seats with supports on them, to allow children with any additional mobility needs to play in an equal basis with able-bodied children. So all of that is part of our consultation and development process for play areas, and it's refined for each individual site to take account of local needs.
Lovely, thank you.
Yeah. Do you want me to come in now, Chair?
Sorry,
my screen had froze here. Jenny, yeah, you want to come in? Thanks.
Yeah, no problem at all. Sorry about that earlier. So a couple of points have already actually been referenced in the meeting earlier on, specifically to do with the towers and the Ukrainian resettlement works which are underway, as I'm sure people will be aware. There's also another update from housing, which is to do with the diving gardens and the refurb. Is on site and due to be completed September 22, which is obviously just round the corner. And then the other one that I'd like to maybe talk a wee bit more about, and I know that Heather hoped to be here this evening, is to do with active and creative communities, which is one of my areas of responsibility as head of service, and it's to do with a bid which has been made through the Levelling Up Fund for Summerlee. Which is really exciting. I was out visiting there about 4 weeks ago, met with the team that are out there, listened to their plans, looked at the model they've got at the front door. If you've been in there recently, it's definitely worth a visit, fantastic. And it's just extremely exciting. To just give you a wee bit of detail, obviously they've got to get, they've got to get it, and the decision won't be made until the autumn, but the bid itself is just absolutely amazing. They're looking to regenerate that area. They're looking to have the tram running from the road in all the way along. They're looking to have, the wee miners' cottages, the wee, if you've been in it, there's the wee row houses, to have like wee businesses in there, and looking at it being more creative. We're looking at links between that and our Friday afternoons, Future Fridays in the secondary school, and positive destination opportunities for some of our young people, and work experience opportunities, all sorts of exciting things planned. Obviously, we've still to get the bids, so we don't want to get too carried away. So submission has been made, and we're also looking at a community memory store and social history at Summerlee. So it's already a great resource. I mean, it's a great place to visit. If you haven't been recently, definitely recommend it. I know that many of you will have been, but it's somewhere that sometimes we forget about because it's right on our doorstep. Fantastic. So fingers crossed is what I would say about that. Fingers crossed. But in the meantime, even if we don't get the bid, we've got great plans for Summerlee. You might remember we used to do an exhibition up the stairs of the young people across North Lanarkshire, their art folios, their photography, music, drama, all of that. So we're looking to bring that back. And also, just for information, if you're not aware, they've got an organ from the cinema. In the old days when they used to play the organ in the cinema, they've got one of them in Summerlee, and they have somebody who goes along there and actually plays it at the weekend as well, which has been taking tricks with folk. So it's just really to, I suppose, raise awareness about Summerlee, let you know about the bid, and obviously here's hoping that we actually get it. Thanks very much, Chair.
Thanks, Jenny. Anybody any questions want to ask Jenny of that wonderful report for Summerlee? Councillor Larson, in you come.
Thanks, Chair. No questions, Jenny, just to say I kind of share your enthusiasm. I went for a wee presentation with the architect and actually the people that are assessing the bid, and I got the whole tour and the whole breakdown. I think some of the great things that they're going to be hoping to achieve if they win the bid is hopefully a footbridge that goes all the way from Sunnyside Station right into the park, and maybe opening up in the evenings and having some lighting and a sort of iconic vision from the skyline, a wee bit like the Kelpies. They're hoping to develop one of the old mining towers and have it lit up, so some great stuff happening there. And actually I see Stephen McCargo has got his hand up because I think you guys had a presentation as well, did you? And you're hoping to do some work with them. So just wanted to come in and say I share your enthusiasm. Cheers.
Okay, Stephen.
Yeah, some members from our group went down to meet some gentlemen who are refurbishing the Fire Queen, which is an old boat, and the plan is hopefully within next year at some point they're going to float the boat on the canal, which would be great. So we could try and get the local press down there to take some pictures of that down there, and instead of just putting the boat into the museum, it'd be good to actually use it once a year or get it onto the canal.
That's great, Stephen. Thank you. Good to finish off a nice piece of enjoyable and interesting and news of the great work that's happening up at Summerlee. We did during our summer programme take a bunch of the children for Kirkshaw's up there. They had a fabulous day. So long may that continue. Moving on, folks, have any other competent business?
I was going to, Chair, I was going to do a quick update on Friends of Munglands Canal. I don't know if you've got time to do that.
Yep, give a quick couple of minutes, on you go.
Okay, so basically we're still we're giving out litter pickers to the community. We've had over the summer, the canal walkways and forest area has been very clean. It's been kept clean, but the waterway has got pretty bad. Scottish Canals usually clean that, but their vehicle for cleaning that has been out of service for a while. So I usually do a presentation update, but we had some boats on the canal yesterday cleaning up the waterway until Scottish Canals can come back on. We have inherited a boat and we've got some life jackets, so we're planning to do some water training with some of our members. We had an issue in the summer with the bins that we installed. Scottish Canals allocated one person to clean the bins and it didn't happen for a couple of weeks. So now we've got access keys to the bins in case they overflow again. We bought materials for the other side of the canal at the railway side and started working on the path over there. So we're going to continue working with that. There was just one issue that we've got. We've had a lot of complaints from members regarding the Daisy Park. Basically, I guess for the Queen's Jubilee, they done a wildflower garden in the Daisy Park, and it seems that a lot of members have been walking along there and they've been seeing people parking on the Daisy Park. Also, I've got pictures were sent in to me, but I didn't want to share them in an open forum because it had license plates on it. But basically, cars up on the embankment doing fishing and stuff. So I guess what people have been asking is there any plan at any time to have a parking area in the Daisy Park, or potentially, if you follow the road up, there's small barriers that stop people going onto the grass area or the grass embankments that go into the canal, just to protect the kind of wildlife. That's the questions that were asked. So I don't know if anyone can.
Councillor Larson's got her hand up. Can you come, Councillor?
I don't have answers, just more questions, I'm afraid.
Right.
I was hoping that there might be somebody here that might be able to give us a wee update on access, vehicle access to the Daisy Park. I presented a petition on behalf of residents to council. Okay, I don't know if it was during the pandemic or just before, and that saw the roads temporarily closed. They had to have some vehicle access for the houses that still sat up on the loch. But it was meant to be closed to public access. It was then supposed to be going to some kind of consultation with a view to having it closed on a permanent basis. Do we know where we are in terms of the road access?
Matt, could yourself or maybe Ross come in on that?
I can jump in quickly if you want, Councillor Larson. I think that was similar to what happened at places like Strathclyde Park and things where roads were closed really to create more spaces for people and allow people to do that. We can certainly take away if it's relating to the road that runs into Drumpellier Park. It likely sits with our environmental assets team and the country park guys. But we can go away and ask a question about that and certainly come back and share an answer with you. And I think just while I'm on it, I think, Stephen, if there's potential for parking projects down there that will improve community access and benefit the area and everything else, that sounds to me like a potential LDP project that we'd like to have a chat about and see if there's something that we can take forward there that will improve that local environment. As you say, maybe protect some of the wildlife and things round about there as well.
Can I add there, Matt, that we actually discussed this at a previous meeting of the board, and it was myself and Councillor McPake that came in. We spoke about the potentially maybe even having some wheelchair accessible parking there. And I think Michael McPake talked about the possibility of electric charging pumps. I think something might already be in the pipeline, but I'm not certain.
I think Councillor Larson, you're right, we're looking at disabled parking bays at some of the enhancements along with the Friends of Monkland Canal Group. So that's part of the project. As you'll probably be aware, we've got an allocation through the local development programme just now for project work with them. So that is part of that consideration, the disabled parking. We may take advice on electric charging points. I think that might be slightly out with the scope of our programme.
Hey, Ross, thanks for that. Nicola, see you've got your hand up. You want to come in on this?
It wasn't on this topic, it was just an AOB, so if anyone, it was a different AOB that I've got.
Okay, but can I quick then, because I'm just conscious of the time now.
So it was just about as winter's fast approaching, obviously the worry of the cost of living crisis and the energy crises. Are there any plans to open up the community centres over this period for people for a place to gather and get a heat, tea and a coffee, things like that, you know, if they can't afford to heat their houses during the day? Are there any plans for any of the community places to get open?
Again, Matt, Ross, anybody want to come in and maybe give some feedback on that? I see your hands up, Janie.
When you go, Janie.
Hi there. I mean, sorry, other colleagues in the call might want to add in, but certainly that's something that is being discussed live, if you like. So yeah, there will be plans coming forward. I don't know if Matt or Councillor Larson want to add into that, but yeah, as I'm sure everyone in the call appreciates, it's something that is being discussed at every level to ensure that, you know, we can support our communities as best we can. Nicola, you know, as you can understand, it's at the forefront of everybody's mind. Absolutely, absolutely. Thanks. I don't know if Matt or Councillor Larson's got anything else to add. Thanks very much. Thanks, Chair.
I'd like to come in that, sorry, just an vested interest, obviously. Where my other hat is the project manager at the Kirkshaw's Neighbourhood Centre. Look, the voluntary sector community facilities could be involved in this discussion as well, because we've got a massive part to play in that, and I would like to think we'd be overlooked in it. Sorry, Matt, you want to come in?
Oh, just again, very briefly, Chair, just to pick up your comments and Janie's comments. That is certainly something, as I said, there's live discussions ongoing at the moment in relation to that, and it's in relation to council and, of course, the third and voluntary sector in relation to that as well. So we will be in further contact about that.
That's great.
Thank you. So will we get feedback via this forum then, or would it be via our councillors?
I think probably both. Councillor,
right, okay.
Sorry, Nicola, there will be both. It will be something that will be. I'll come back as probably as a report to the community board to highlight what the proposals are, and also to elected members.
Thank you.
I think we're all in agreement it's going to play a massive impact in the communities in the coming weeks and months. I was only discussing it with my chair, Teresa, saying that the other day there, about how we need to move forward and what we can offer and what we can support. And that's communities across North Lanarkshire and the UK wide. So we need to step up and do something about it. Okay, folks, I think we're probably finished. If we've got no other business, I think we're actually finished for tonight. I'd like to thank you all for your involvement, your attendance tonight, and enjoy the rest of your evening, and thank you very much.
Have a good holiday, cheers.
Thanks, Willie.
Thanks, Chair.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Thank you.